One of the great things about the Underdeck Oasis system is some of the universal ways to install it. And we could put a gutter on both sides of this beam here, but then they don't quite come together because they both have to be pitched at two different angles. So it's usually best, if we can, when decks are less than about 32 inches, and this is right at the max, we can take this water that's landing on this, in this area they called the cantilever, and we flash that with metal back over to the inside and catch it on the inside of the gutter where the bulk of the water is already being caught. And then we can finish this system to make it look like the inside, but it really has a false bottom or a false top, if you would, to bring it in. Okay, so the question is, how do we measure to make one of these pans in the area here? In a perfect world, this all deck would be exactly 16 inch on center. In a perfect world. Doesn't exist. So what you want to do is you want to measure each one of these underneath it. This one is 14.5. Great. That means I want the pan to be 15, plus I want a little extra for my my screw tabs here on the sides. Now my break makes a perfect 3/4 on both sides. So 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches plus 15, even though it's 14.5, I want to have a 1/2 inch to make it cup. That's key. So 15 inch plus 3/4 and 3/4, I need a 16 inch wide panel blank to cut to go in between here. The other question is, how long is it going to be? So, and to the inside here, I'm actually at 33 inches. It's a little longer than we normally go, but we're going to make it work. So I'm going to measure it out, 33. I'm going to make it 35 inches. That'll give me enough room for a 3/4 inch tab on the back and enough to bring it out here so it drips into the gutter. Every deck construction's a little different. Some decks, typically we see a 2x10, 16 inch on center. In this case here, we have a 2x8. Sometimes we see 2x12s. The taller the deck, the easier it is to work with. The smaller the joists are, the harder it is to work with. A little more tighter, a little more exact you got to be on your measurements. So my recommendation is do one panel at a time, one of these overpan flashings at a time, until you get really comfortable with it and you got your system down so you can keep it nice and even. Remember, even though some of them might start off at 15s, later you might have some 16s, you might have some 14s. Decks seem to move a lot. They don't always put them up exactly correctly.